That's the path we're moving to in the future, to have all of these careers and jobs automated. So you would be doing yourself a favor choosing one of the career in the STEM field, specifically computer science pathway, where you can actually be the one to program, manage, or basically be a part of the circle that control these machines.
Like, subscribe, and share to Voices of Linden TV.
Hi, everyone. Please join me in welcoming today via Zoom, Zeenat Wilson. Zeenat is a former student of Mackenzie High School, and I'm so happy to welcome her today. Welcome, Zeenat.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Spend this wonderful time with.
So tell me, what have you been up to since Mackenzie High School, since graduating?
That is a question of the decade, especially for me, because I've been experimenting so much. Okay, so let me start from the moment I left Mackenzie High School. So I would have started my family early. I got my son, and my classmates, they're aware that I got my son very early. So that delayed some of the career ambitions that I would have had. Nevertheless, after a period of about 5 years, when he was 5, I decided to go back in the line of chasing my career. But at that time, I wasn't too certain about what I wanted to do. So I dabble and dabble in a lot of different disciplines. For example, I tried out the accounting discipline. And why it's funny is because I came from a science background. I came straight out from 5S Science at Mackenzie High School. So accounting isn't got nothing to do with our stream. So I would have tried out the accounting field. I would have tried out the legal field, law, yes. I attempted to go the chemistry route to become a chemist. But that didn't last any time. So I left that and I decided to go the route of pharmacy to become a pharmacist. Yes, because for some reason I developed a passion in pharmacy. I don't know where it came from, but it was very close to science. So, but the thing is, when I tried to get into the pharmacy faculty, they were filled. So they told me to enroll in some other faculty in natural science, that's at the University of Guyana, and do a year there. And after a year, I can come back and try the pharmacy. But the thing is, what I didn't realize is that I ended up in computer science. And 1 year of computer science, there was no turning back. I found my passion. I found something that speaks to me, my personality and everything. And from that, I went on to become, I would say, a computer scientist, but more specifically, a software developer / programmer, which I am currently practicing.
Yes. So, well, I'm so happy to hear that. I guess sometimes we have to try so many things before we find what we're naturally gifted for. And so I know that software developers and programmers are normally a male-dominated field. So it's extremely proud, for me to know that you as a woman chose to encounter, even if it's by accident, the fact that you naturally fell in love with it is even like more, more substance to it, because typically that would be the field that one would accidentally get into and say, I'm just going to hop right out. But you went into the other fields that many women would gravitate to and hopped out of those for something that I find that it's really your future is going to be based on. So you must be a pretty fun person, because my idea of software developers, as much as many would terminalize them as nerd, they're actually some of the extremely smartest and quite dynamic personalities, apart from that facade that they give off. Because really, really, it reminds me of, that show Pinky and the Brain, where the brain's like, I'm going to rule the world. You guys are kind of the rulers of the world. Would you agree?
Yes, that's how we feel. People would say we have a big ego.
Yes, because you guys develop something and take great pride in it. It's like you're a mom to another child in a way. Now I do have to ask this. You, of course, did your computer science at University of Guyana, I assume. I would have to assume also that there probably weren't many women in that class.
There were a few, because we're talking about modern day. So things are up to the point where more women, more girls are entering the field. But compared to the men, of course, that number is still quite low.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. I love that, because after World War II, there was, I think, a percentage of 37% of women that did it in the States. And then it kind of dropped off over the years, and it's become even more male dominated now. So I'm happy to hear that in Guyana and in the Caribbean on the whole, that it's becoming a field that more women are choosing. And what are some of the subjects that one needs to be studying in school to be able to get into the Faculty of Computer Science?
The most important subject would be mathematics. One needs to pay attention to the math subject. This is the most important one. I would even put that above IT, right? Your math skill, your ability to solve problems must be cultivated. It must be developed, right? Apart from that, there is IT, which is information technology, and the good thing is being offered across all secondary schools in Guyana. And soon they will implement that subject also at the primary level, because we're pushing now to get more people in the field of computer science. Apart from that, I would suggest any other science subject, because doing a science subject, the whole idea is to get you to think, right? Don't just accept knowledge. Think, question, try to understand what's going on. And science subjects got the way of pulling that out in you. You can't bluff it, because people say, okay, you just bluff your way. No, you have to think, because you would be exposed to things like experiments. And from that experiment, you have to come up with your conclusion from what you observed through that experiment. So very true. And back to kind of what you said about mathematics and sciences on the whole, because when you really think about it, as much as you're, the science behind it's, when you really track the science behind thinking or human behavior on the whole, that is kind of what software programming is, except you're developing something that's going to monitor, like there's watches today that you can wear that tracks your blood pressure, tracks your heartbeat, tracks how many times you're smiling, if you're impeding to have a stroke. There's so many intelligence in like everything that's developed, but it's the math behind it all is always so intriguing. Correct.
With it. Now, in terms of, I know that you're a software developer / programmer for and that you were hired and you work in Guyana for a company that's going global, I guess, having offices now around the world or becoming international. How did you end up finding that job, if you don't mind sharing?
Okay, sure. It's a funny story, but okay, when I studied computer science, the passion was there. My reason for studying it was well established. It was for me to get that freedom to operate from anywhere around the world, to be relevant. I can be a part of any industry and my value would be felt, right? So that remote freedom was there. Because of that, I poured my heart and my soul into computer science. So my lecturers, they noticed that. my HOD, they noticed the passion. I was able to graduate with a very, very high GPA, right? A distinction, very high GPA. And because of that, when this opportunity came, they recommended me for that post because they knew my ability. The company was seeking somebody who has the ability to rise to the occasion, who has the ability to perform, right? Because I mean, it's a global company. The headquarters in New York, so you have to be on your game. So when they approached the HOD for someone to fill that post right away, she recommended me, and that's how I end up. Because it's not they don't put open vacancy to the public, so to speak. It's through recommendation and so forth.
Yeah.
So I was recommended for the post.
Yes. Oh, well, that I can't see why not. I'm sure you excelled at everything you did. And companies are very, very smart today, because when you think of companies that are going global, especially companies that are run a certain way, there's certain intelligence that goes, they want to protect what it is they're building. They know they want to only go to the best of the best to develop softwares that's going to not only protect them, but also garner the intelligence that's going to help them become successful. So you are the brain behind the work, and a lot of effort and time, and they pay very well for this, for the work that you guys do. And yeah.
And what I find strange is that normally when these companies hire you, they would give you like a year contract. You know, they would give you a year contract.
Yeah.
And then how you perform, they will renew it. And I was surprised that when they hire me, they give me a 3-year contract. So it's like, lock me in there for 3 years. It's like, oh, we can't afford to lose this individual to another company. So it's lock me in there.
Well, Zeenat, you just made me think of something that is quite impactful. And I find that I love listening to the way that you've not only navigated yourself through many, many career choices, being a young mommy. And, you know, like you said, you didn't start off when you had the goals, you set them aside to tackle whatever you had to tackle. And then you just focused back on what you wanted, and you weren't sure. So you dipped your toes in a little bit of, puddles of water along the way, and then you found the one. But I think what just triggered me in what you said is that you became the best at what you are, that in today's world, being it so global, and many people don't realize that a lot of people in all over the world are working from home. So home doesn't necessarily mean a house in Canada, a house in America. Home can be a home in Guyana, and you get hired based on what it is you're putting forth into the world. So that's really amazing, because many, many things are done now without you physically needing to be there. So was that something that really, really made you attracted to this company too? Because then you can be the best mom you can be, the best this you can be, and still be able to give the world what you're so passionate and good at.
I don't know how much that portfolio played a role into this, but I would say that I would say they were looking for someone who's passionate about what they do, because remember, it's okay. I didn't mention the type of company, but they're like a trading company, right? Trading platform. So it's a lot of work. It's it's like a deep forest. So if you're not passionate about it, what are you going to do when you encounter difficulties? So they were looking for somebody who's passionate about what they do, not in here just for the paycheck, but passionate about what they do. And passionate is what I am about my job, and I love my job. I can't see myself doing anything else.
Well, for you to have passion about your job, it must mean you have passion about many things in life. And that comes from that analytical, detailed, mathematical background that many people who goes into engineering sometimes possess, but still you're the powerhouse behind many things. Like I know we were chatting before about cyber intelligence and artificial intelligence. So you kind of have to have that way of thinking too, of like, what is the probability of someone trying to hack my system this way? or what is the probability of if this were to break, or if this was a glitch in the system, do we have a backup plan for it? So your problem solving skills must be pretty darn good too.
Yeah, it is. It is. And just listening to you talk about probability, that turns me on. It's like yeah, it does. That's how into this I am. That's what I surround myself. Those
funny.
Right.
Yeah. It's so
That's
funny how you say that, because we like to have intelligent conversations. We like to know that we are viewed apart from the embodiment of our outwardness, but just knowing that we have the capabilities of having these conversations,
right.
I love it. I love it. I love that I was able to get that out of you.
You're comfortable having those conversations that can change the world. You don't shy away from it.
Yes. Well, Pinky and the brain always wanted to not only change the world, he wanted to rule the world. So tell me, have you ever had, in terms of, I know that software developers and programmers are going to be in demand in the future. And so if you were to address Mackenzie High School students right now, what would you say to them about this field on the whole?
I would appeal to them to get involved. To get involved in anything tech. We have this STEM, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, this STEM concept, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Get involved in one of the STEM subjects. Anyone, get involved in one of that. Because that will help to prepare you if you decide to go the route of computer science. Because computer science, like I said, is the future. And if you're looking for job security, you can't go wrong in that field. Whether you're working for a company, whether you're working for the government, whether you're working for yourself. It is the best security for the future for you. The best. Because it's not a time bashing other fields and career paths, but most of the careers, they would become automated. Machines will take over and will be executing those same jobs. So you have to do your due diligence and maybe be proactive and try to do some research and really go after the field that you know that, okay, in the future, I don't have to worry because I would have studied or would have chosen a path that I am still relevant in the future. I'm not jobbing accounting, but let's just say accounting. Okay, you want to become an accountant. Fine, it's relevant now. Perhaps it will be relevant in the future, but compared to computer science, software developer, the probability of it becoming extinct or irrelevant. Accounting, machines would actually be accountant in the future, so they can do the accounting. Then what? What will happen to you? So, like I said, that's the path we're moving to in the future, to have all of these careers and jobs automated. So you would be doing yourself a favor choosing one of the career in the STEM field, specifically computer science pathway, where you can actually be the one to program, manage, or basically be a part of the circle that control these machines that will be, quote unquote, would be replacing these different staff, so to speak, at these different jobs. It's not a good thing to think about, but you have to be real. We're heading there.
Well, the thing is that the world as we know it in the future is not going to just exist here on Earth. There's a lot that's already happening in the galaxy, in the universe, up there in space. That's artificial intelligence. Wars are happening in cyberspace. There's lots of things happening in the world. And, artificial intelligence and the role that systems developers and software engineers play, or computer science students play in the roles of developing what's going to be shaping humanity and the way we live in the future. So it's actually it's going to be across every industry. Like when you think about it, you wake up in the morning and the first thing most people do, they look at their phones. You no longer have to type in a code anymore. It recognizes your face. So there's a software programmer somewhere working for Apple somewhere that came up with
but
these little,
but somewhere would be present in front of you in the form of a machine eventually. So you will have that person right in front of you doing all of the different tasks.
Yes. Well, robots are already here. They're already
but they
here
will
in the
become
form.
domesticated eventually.
Yes.
So nobody. In fact, you might not even need to have a husband. You can actually purchase a husband. Because intelligence will have grown so much that they can actually function, they can anticipate the needs of their partner.
Wow. Well, the one magical thing about the whole thing, as much as we know that that's where the future is heading, is there's nothing really that can ever take away the
warmth,
the humanness.
Look, I won't even get down into that area, but research has shown that behind the scene, people are working tediously to give you that human life experience. Okay.
Oh,
like there is such a thing called 3D printing. Do you know what 3D printing does? 3D printing prints objects. So your eyes, the 3D printer can print your eyeball.
Yes.
That thing. Yes. So once you have designed it in the system, it can literally output your eyeball. So they're using it in the medical field to print organs, different organs, to do transplants with them. Can you imagine?
I know it for a fact. I've been lucky enough to have similar conversations with some of my friends that are in the industry right here. And, you know, we actually brought up the topic of, they were heavily into the topic of the development of a partner that simulates exactly all the things that you programming into what it is that you're looking for. And the 5 love languages and the mathematic research that goes behind finding that perfect, or there's no such thing as a perfect anything, but duplicating these things that can really fulfill your needs and give you your warmth, and down to the touch and the warmth. She was saying there was scientifically studying the connections and the probabilities of what it would be like of a yes, no, and the feelings. And back to what you talked about, the eyes and the look and the features, all based though on data that is collected from the person in fine-tuned detail. It's amazing. You know, they say that they were even tracking the nonverbal percentage versus the verbal percentage of, so they were the data was collected not just on your yes or your no, oh God, I just want him to be handsome and tall and dark or whatever, but they were looking for what you were saying, but your reaction to what you were saying. And they were tracking all of it. So I was like, wow, like it's amazing what the future holds for us.
Correct. That's why data science is a very big field. Data science, that's a field that deals with all the data. We have something called big data. That is data. That's like, you can't, okay, let me give you an example. Like Facebook, they use big data because think about it, Facebook tracking everything. What they're doing with all this data, where are they storing this data? How are they managing that data? Well, data science help them to do that. So data science is one of the most high-paid field in our discipline, in the computer science, a data scientist. But again, to be a data scientist, your maths got to be on point because there's algorithms and a lot of stuff that go into there, a lot of calculation stuff. But to come back to what we were saying, for the young ones at Mackenzie High School, like I said, they would be setting themselves up for success if they choose a STEM path, particularly one that goes along the line of computer science, right? You have the opportunity, you guys have the opportunity to start now, not when,
and playing a role in shaping the future and what it has to bring. That's for sure. Because we know that nothing's staying the same and it's forever transforming. And we're seeing it all the time happening. And, I think it's fantastic knowing that you get to be such an impact in a company, not only, but that you also are, developing something that you're not only calling your own, that you're kind of controlling. And these businesses are benefiting from it because back to what you were talking about, the data and the data science behind it all. But that is really what makes these companies so successful, because by hiring the magicians, as I like to call them, because really what they're all the algorithms and the mathematicals and the probabilities and the things that they're doing. But the bottom line is the financial benefit that these companies get from knowing the facts and knowing how to present the facts back into the market. Because really, at the end of the day, all this stuff is about the marketing and what it's going to do for the company.
Exactly. Profit.
Yeah. It always comes down to that. Yeah. And
would add in, sorry to cut you, but I would add in, apart from the STEM field, another field that's predicted to not be going anywhere is the legal field, because you know that people have different problems that they need to go to the legal arena to help solve those problems. So the legal field is one that ain't going anywhere, as well as politics. Yeah.
If we know about human behavior, including software developers and programmers, and we touched on this before, is that not all of them are angelic in their powers. Some of them use their powers for harmful things. So I guess maybe that's where the one or two lawyers can come into play.
Definitely. You can't,
because
you can't, the ethical side of our discipline is handled. That's where the legal fraternity comes into play in terms of that, the ethical side, because at the end of the day, what you develop and everything will be subject to your your legal jurisdiction laws. What the leaders they prohibit, what's in that constitution, and that's legal. That's why it's not going anywhere. The only time it will go somewhere is if the machines overthrow us. Yeah, well, if they become in charge, perhaps. But even them and I might need lawyers to help negotiate, among themselves. Yes. So,
well, as long as humans are involved, there's always going to be something. But I think the magical thing about it, though, too, is that someone can, that's why there is so much emphasis on when something happens on like the hacking probabilities and how to prevent them and what to do if they happen. And but it's quite an intriguing and quite a broad perspective that goes into computer science and what it's all about and what it can do and how it's going to shape everything in the future. But I just love it that you get to do something that you're super passionate about. And that kind of brings us kind of like to the end of our interview. But before we conclude everything, I do have to ask you, because I do see this magnificent, fun side of you. Tell me some fun facts about you.
Are you sure you want to hear that?
Yes, of course.
Is there any fun fact? What I find fun, okay, apart from all things computer science, I love to travel a lot. And traveling got to do with the whole long traveling that would allow me to think, because when you travel long distance, you think. That's where we exist most of the time, in solitary, in thinking, because when you're at one with your thoughts, you end up with solutions to whatever problems you have. You see the big picture, you see things clearly. So I love traveling, I love reading, and I love to mentor people. Yes, I love to mentor, but I love to mentor people. People come to me with all sorts of problems looking for solutions.
Well, that's when you travel and you read, you have much more broader insight into, reading, they say, opens up the world to you. Traveling just puts you in the world. At least that's my saying. That's the way I view it.
Exactly.
When I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. So reading was my way of opening myself to what the world holds. And then as I grew older, and actually when I turned 40, is when I embarked on this journey of traveling all over the place. I'm going to be going to Italy this year. So God willing. And, it's like, you never dreamt that you can go to these places. And here you are, one day you're able to go. And you're so correct, because there is a favorite thing that I do sometimes. I talked about it a few years ago with Andrew James when I talked about a window. A window is your opening to the world. And there's a whole big world waiting out there from the little boxes that we live in. So that's fun facts. What are some of the countries you've been to?
Actually, just Trinidad so far.
Oh, it's beautiful there. Yeah, it's one of the
very
first
beautiful,
countries that I went to.
Several times. Yeah, very beautiful country. But eventually, I intend embarking on a world tour. But before that world tour becomes a reality, first thing first. And the first thing first was me becoming a master of what I can do. It's like developing my skill, becoming of high value, right? That I can service or be of service to the world or any businesses and all of these things. Once I would have developed that skill to the level that I wanted to be, then here comes me. The world will see me, different countries, different things, because like I said, the first part is taken care of. And going back to what I said earlier, the reason why I'm so intent on becoming like owning this software developer skill and becoming very proficient or highly proficient is because, like I said, after school, I would have started my family early. So that would have been derailed to some extent. So I'm a late bloomer, so to speak.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm a late bloomer too. So it's okay to be a late bloomer, everything in its own time. And like you said, timing is everything sometimes, it was meant to happen this way. And you're focused on exactly where you're supposed to be focused on, and you have goals, which if we are both MHS students, I am too. It's me. Yes, I am.
That's a fun fact. Wow.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, I don't know. You weren't on my timeline, so I wouldn't have known.
No, I'm much older than you are. Actually, you said you were 1992. I graduated in 1994.
Oh,
yes. And actually
building when I was at Lighthouse.
I was talking about that with someone else. It's so true. You know how some of the people now that are older, I used to remember admiring them when they were over in the like the head building, and then we would be in Lighthouse. So yeah, you would have been in Lighthouse, I guess, when I was graduating from the main building. So yes, I am also like Linden is my home and where I grew up. And but yeah, we're both MHS students, and I find we have lots of similarities in terms of passions and goals. And I am a strong believer too in mastering to the best of your abilities what you're good at, but still finding time to empower anybody else that wants to go along on the journey. Mentoring is a great thing that you can give back to the world. So I applaud you for that. That's amazing.
You're not learning these things to keep it. That's not the point. You're learning these things to share and to help the next person to spread that. This is one of the things that we in our discipline use. Sharing. Yeah, we share stuff a lot. If we didn't share, there would have been no open software to use, no free this, no free. We share a lot. We believe in spreading that around. So we share.
Are there a lot of software developers and programmers in Guyana?
There are a few, but they're discouraged because what you find is that when they get hired by a company or so, they're not practicing what they learned. They take on a more sedimentary role, like maybe just a main.
Oh, they suck all the fun.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
that's no fun. That's no fun.
Right. So a lot go on to migrate where they can be of greater use.
That makes me really sad because I know some software developers here, And, you have that stigma of being nerdy, but I find that when I see them in their element, they're like little butterflies. The brain is working, everything's happening. So I do agree, when you take that away from them, it kind of like diminishes what their true capabilities are.
Exactly. That's the reason too why I transitioned from my previous job in the public sector to private now, because I felt that I was like in a passive role compared to this active role now that I have.
Yeah.
Everything is passing by. We were given systems that's already developed. We don't need to go in to manipulate, maintain nothing. We just study them and we just assess the security health of them. Whereas now I get to be a part of building feature. The business want this feature, they tell us, and you get a chance to build it and give them to use, and they're satisfied. So you're in a more active role. But I just want to say this before you end. Mackenzie High School is a very good school. I'm not sure the level they're at now, but before, back in the days when the world wasn't so open up, or she said Linden wasn't so open up to the world, that school was really instrumental in creating, I would say, great students, so to speak. I like to say I was born with my greatness, but Mackenzie High School helped to cultivate that. And I really appreciated that. Haven't I gone to Mackenzie High School, I don't know where would I've been, or probably not even interested in anything. But being at Mackenzie High School, coming and crossing paths with teachers who are passionate about what they do. When they sit in the class and they teach you, you want to learn. Your eyes glow. You want to go back the next day because you're enjoying the topic, you're engaging with them. So Mackenzie High School played that great role. And I'm really, really grateful to have at least pass it to go to Mackenzie High School back in the days.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for acknowledging that. That's quite it's a lot of greatness has come out of that school and will continue to come out of not only Mackenzie High School, but Linden on the whole. Like it's quite encouraging. Having these interviews continues to play the role in giving something and some hope to future students that are coming up. So I have to tell you, I'm looking at your face and I can just see the brightness that comes out of the entire conversation of what you do and what you love to do. So with that said, any exciting things you have planned for this year?
Yes. For the year, I have gym goals. I want to be snatched, sculpted. Yeah, I want to be sculpted. So that's my goal for this year too. I've already selected my gym and trainer. So I'll be embarking on, because I feel kind of in the public sector, I'm sitting there all day eating lunch and everything and being like bloated and big. And now I'm here at this private company with all these other software developers. These guys are muscled and all snatched and, because they gym a lot. And so it's like that motivates me now to try to get that body I've always wanted. Apart from that, I want to engage in ballroom dancing because I love that. So that's something I want to embark.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I started it many years ago. I took up salsa dancing first. It's a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and there's a lot of mathematics to the steps. And
really,
I kid you not. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you got to know when to do to the side and to the side. There's a certain shoulder move. Like, it's so much fun. I was very shy, like really just work and home. And I ended up taking the class, and I have to tell you, you fall in love. It is kind of like, I find, like, have you ever watched a teacher teach math? I mean, I'm sure you have. It's what you're you're excellent at. Do you notice on a board, he doesn't stay in one spot. He starts off with A plus B divided by C or equal to D. Yes. Then he'll change it on the bottom. It becomes a totally different thing. And then it transforms into something else. And I like to call it the dance. There's a dance that happens, and then you come to the outcome. Yes, well, ballroom dancing, salsa, any form of anything that takes a certain path, where you navigate. And then you ever watch Dancing with the Stars? It's like the whole thing happens. And then at the end, the whole world goes.
Yes. I just love their energy.
Yes. Yes. And back to what you said about the people that you work with, a nerd is no longer a nerd to what you think anymore. They are some of the buffest people. Not only does intelligence is not no longer characterized a certain way, intelligence is now very sexy. So
exactly.
Kudos to you. I can't wait to come to Guyana.
Exactly. You mentioned that. I'm happy that you mentioned that, because when people think about nerd, they think about Einstein look, the Einstein look with all the puff and the gray. It's like these people don't have time to do shop. But I'm here to change that. You have time to do shop. I'm a do shop girl. Okay. Yes. I'm gonna allow my love for that to make me let go of myself. It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna look as sharp as the next person. You're gonna be like, how she getting time to do all that? It's called balance.
Yes. Well, I actually just recently said this to someone. We used to have this old adage that we would say a work-life balance, but I'm not a fan of the work-life balance. I believe that there is no separation in today's environment of work and life. Many of us are working even after we've put our computers down. We're still mentally, our brains are still carrying on with something. So I like to term it now as life balance, because life is work and work is life. So you try to have some sort of balance throughout where you're still carrying through, but it's your life, because I don't have a normal 9-to-5 job where it cuts off a certain time. I'm taking clients' phone calls at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm taking clients' phone calls at 11 o'clock at night, but I try still to do my yoga before bed. I dance like a crazy woman in my bathroom, like I have an audience.
I give you a clap for that.
I have a favorite show I watch called Being Mary Jane, where I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It was aired on BET. It was about this journalist that I wanted to be a journalist really badly when I was a young girl in Guyana. But like you, I realized that passion is the most important thing. So I've landed myself in a job that I've been in sales and running businesses for 27 years, and I've been working with a builder for 15 years. But long story short, it's those little things that you do to make you come out of the shell that you once were, and then that power that comes from within you. But it's really back to what you were saying earlier, that self-care and where you see yourself and what you want to see for yourself. So I really, really am excited to come together and have a dance with you.
Girl, and to show up as your best self, you have to do you first. You have to pour into you, and you have to pull out that best self from you. Then you bless the world with it.
Well, may your cup runneth over with all the joys and happiness to 2023. And I'll be coming to Guyana again this year. So I look forward to meeting you. And I know that you guys have a salsa club now, because I heard.
Currently, there's a lot of ready-made stuff that the student can get their hands on. All you need to do is Google everything. You have a math problem, you Google the answer. You have calculators online, but you guys should really try to sit and understand the mechanics behind all of this and how it works. Because if you don't, you're robbing yourself from developing that skills. And that's the thing I feel really sad about for the modern generation, because everything is like ready-made and presented there. And they go and they find this answer, and then they show up with 5 grade ones, 10 grade one, 15 grade one, 20 grade ones. But how much do you know apart from that? That's why the companies in the world, particularly in America, they don't want your accolades on paper. They want you to show them what you can do. It's all about what you can do. So if you don't spend time developing these skills and owning them, what are you going to show? How are you going to represent yourself? So you have those nice grades, yes, but we want to see who you are, what you can bring to us apart from that. So you should really try to understand all the logic behind your subjects and all of these things. Yes, you can use the internet to verify your answers and so, but try at least to understand the concept.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. That is quite a blessing in itself, and great advice to the students, because like you said, not only do they want you to be able to do it, but they want you to keep your word and actually show that you can do it, and know what you say you're going to do, you're actually going to process. And one of the biggest takeaways today that I feel like, if someone, students from Linden or Mackenzie High School are listening, is facing your fears, because I really applaud you for that. You faced many things before finding what you're supposed to find. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to, have this chat with you, and for encouraging so many students that you're going to encourage. And I wish you an amazing 2023.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure too.